Welcome to Social Media Masters, the show about creators who have become leaders in their industries by growing a following on social media. From Instagram to TikTok, LinkedIn to YouTube, we will discuss their stories and how they became social media masters. I'm your host, Isaac Child. Hey, Devin. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. So just for you who are tuning in who may not know Devin as well as myself, Devin is a hairstylist who has over 170,000 followers built up on Instagram. And if you think that's impressive, wait for the next number. She has over 417,000 followers on TikTok, to be exact. And on TikTok alone, she has generated over 16 million likes. Just let that sink in a little bit. So
that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. Those numbers are just crazy. And so we'll talk a little bit more about, how you got to those numbers, how you were able to build the incredible following and audience that you have. But before we get into that, I really want to understand, who is Devin? Talk to me a little bit about young girl Devin. Where maybe a little bit about where you grew up, talk a little bit about school, early life. Just let me hear it.
Perfect. I'm so excited to be on the podcast. Thank you so much for having me. It's not every day that you get to talk about not hair. So I'm really excited to share my expertise with social media and kind of how I got started. And I'm just so grateful that you have this podcast for me to come on to. That being said, starting out, Devin was wild. My nickname growing up was Doodle Dev. So let that sink in. Think of Doodle. I was always crazy. I was always innovative. I was curious. I wanted to know the why of everything. And so from an early age, I kind of always loved photography, loved seeing the beauty in all things. So when I was a little kid, I asked for a camera every single year for Christmas until probably when I was 8 years old, I got a camera. I was taking pictures of everything. Social media came out. I downloaded Visco first and CamWow. I don't know if you remember CamWow.
I do. Yes, CamWow. Oh my goodness.
CamWow. I loved CamWow. So I really, really got into kind of editing videos. I grew up in a small town. We actually grew up in the same small town.
Right. In
Idaho Falls. And there wasn't a lot to do, so you kind of had to be really creative with coming up with things to do. And growing up, it was, I like to take pictures. And so I just found pictures of the Tetons, of Yellowstone, of all these different places. And then, do you remember when Vine came out?
Yes. Vine was the stuff for a short time there, but yeah.
That was so good. So when I was probably 13 years old, I don't know, don't quote me on that because we don't know when Vine came out.
Right.
But I was young. Me and my sister would actually make Vine videos growing up. And so I kind of always knew how to edit videos. We actually went viral on Vine once.
No way.
So that was kind of crazy.
Wait. What was the Vine video? You have to share.
This is just what goes on in my brain. In our old house, we had a window. We had a ditch that would fill up with water every time it would rain. Probably 2 feet of water. And we were like, what if we just go swimming in there? So we went swimming in there, and it's literally a video of me in a cooler with a hat on and a paddle and swimming in it and paddling in it. Blew up. And it was the craziest thing. And so ever since I was a little kid, I was just not afraid to be unapologetically me on social media and on Vine and just in life. I'm always here for a fun time. And so that's kind of how I got started with social media and stuff, and just a passion of mine from a very young age. And then with doing hair, it's been a passion of mine my whole entire life. My uncle did hair in New Jersey. My grandpa's been doing hair for 60 plus years.
Wow.
And so it was just kind of Larry Bragg, Grandpa Bragg, Uncle Bragg, Bragg and Beauty, just kind of I wanted to carry on the legacy, and I also wanted to give people something that they can brag about and boast about and be proud of. And so that's where Bragg and Beauty came from a very young age.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I had no idea that Devin was famous on Vine forever ago. Blew up on Vine. And,
well, we say famous, but it was right. 50,000 people saw your video. Back then, that was Holy cow.
Crazy. Crazy
Yeah.
numbers. But that's so cool too that like I didn't know that from a young age you were into photography, you're into media, that type of a thing. You had an eye for that type of stuff. I did know, however, that Devin, you are unapologetically yourself. I we didn't know each other like on a super personal level growing up, but we had
Yeah.
mutual friends. And from everybody that I ever talked to, everybody always said that Devin is just the funnest person to be around. She's a little crazy, she's a little quirky, but like she is herself, and she's always a blast to be around. So I did know that, and
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up, and you're able to show how that has already contributed to kind of the brand that you've built and what you've done. And we'll talk a little bit more about that strategy. But going back to what you mentioned about being a hairstylist, so you mentioned that you've got family that has done hair for a long time. Was this like basically from a very young age you always knew you wanted to do hair, or was it like as you got a little bit older you were contemplating what I could do in life, and that's when you thought about your family and decided to get into it?
Yeah. I just always remember it was the two things I always asked for is a camera and a doll head. Ever since I was a little girl, I always loved everything that has to do with hair, and I think it was resulted from going and visiting my family back east and seeing the salon, seeing the hair that they did, seeing just the atmosphere of a salon and like people leaving with more confidence than when they came in with. I just fell in love with it from a young age, and so I always knew I wanted to. But whenever you get into high school and people are like, "Oh, what are you gonna do when you graduate?" and you're like, "I'm gonna be a nurse." No way, I'm not being a
Right.
nurse. I could not be a nurse. And so it was kind of not frowned upon, but it was like, oh, you're really gonna cop out and just go to hair school? And it's like, okay, well, no, I'm gonna go to hair school to make more money than you're going to school for. Just watch.
Oh, I
And
love
so
that.
it was cool just to have my parents also be very supportive of like, yeah, go do it, do it. Like they saw the success that my uncle has brought, my grandpa has brought, and the money that they've made, and they're like, I think there's money to be made in the hair industry, and if you're passionate about it, like go do it. And they didn't ever force me to go to college. They always just trusted that I would do the right thing and I would make a life for myself that I've always wanted, and I'd work hard, and that hard work paid off.
I love that. And obviously this is a podcast about social media growth, so we won't focus too much on hair, but
Yep.
cosmetology, being a hairstylist has a soft place in my heart because my wife is also a cosmetologist. She does hair. And for her story is a lot different. She didn't always want to do hair. That wasn't like
Yeah.
a lifelong dream of hers to do. So what might your advice be to somebody who's maybe just dabbling with the idea of like, maybe I want to be a hairstylist, but maybe they're feeling a little bit of that pressure of society of like, you're not going to make a lot of money. It's not a real career. It's not a real job. Like what might you have to say for people who are kind of thinking about that?
I would say for right now, if you're like nervous about, okay, is this going to be worth the money? How is this? Because it's expensive to go to school. But I think getting into social media, if you really hone into social media, you can do whatever you want. I see people all the time on social media, they make signs for a living and they're getting brand deals for making signs.
I love that.
So it's like, no matter what, there's a million ways to make $1 million. So if you are wanting to go to hair school and that's something that you are passionate about, I say just do it. Because if you're passionate about it, money will follow. And if you're passionate about it, success will also follow. So I say just go for it. Don't
Oh,
look back. Find a mentor and just dive in.
that was beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I love that you went right back to social media and what you just shared about there's a million ways to make $1 million. Like that hit me right in my chest bone because oh my
I'm sure
goodness,
that,
like
bro. Yes.
I wholeheartedly believe that. That's the whole reason that like I'm even here creating this podcast is because I want to let people know that like there are people making millions of dollars making signs, mowing lawns. I mean, I mowed lawns growing up and I never maybe made more than $1,000 in a summer. I was charging pennies to the dime, but there are people who mow lawns. There are people who talk about trees, like just the most outlandish stuff, and they're able to build, and it's their passion. It's something that they enjoy. It's something that they
Yeah.
like, and they're able to make millions of dollars doing that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think it's so cool too, is because like social media and like having something that you're so passionate about, it's going to bring people that also see the light about yourself and see that happiness. So you can make someone's day by making a video of you being passionate about mowing lawns. I watch those videos and I'm like, man, this guy loves lawns. This makes me happy watching how passionate he is about mowing lawns. So it's just a way to spread happiness throughout honestly the world. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. So now let's dive in a little bit more to like Devin's strategy, and maybe like maybe there that didn't even really exist initially. Like maybe it was just like throw on this helmet, get in a cooler, put some paddles in the water, and start rowing and record it and see what happens, right? Like you did with that vine a long time ago. But
Yes.
but like let's talk a little bit about early Devin on social media when it came like when did you start your accounts both on Instagram and TikTok? Just talk to me a little bit about like the humble beginnings of the accounts here.
So this is so funny, but in high school, I went to Idaho Falls High School.
Okay.
Kind of more like inner city-ish, my junior and senior year, and everybody sucked at parking. Okay, sucked. Summertime, wintertime, fall time sucked. And I was like, okay, I'm over this. So I actually made a social media account that I would post pictures of people parking, and it was literally bad parking of Idaho Falls High School. And it kind of blew up. Like everybody was like sending me pictures, saying, "Hey, post this, post this, post this, post this." So I just kind of was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And then I started to realize. Then once I was in hair school, obviously this story didn't even make any sense why I did it. I was like, "Oh, this will be fun." Then in hair school, I kind of clicked for me in my brain, saying, if you can figure out a gray area in the black and white world and how you can fit within like this perfect little niche, you can grow in no matter what you do on social media. So in hair school, everybody was posting men's cuts. It was really hard to grow and build your clientele because you weren't getting your dream clients, right? So I started thinking, well, if I want clients to look like me, I want to do hair that's similar to blonding. So I would find all my cute friends, I would curl their hair, style their hair, I'd post it, and I'd fake it till I make it. So I'd say, this is a beautiful color, this is a beautiful cut. And people never understand that I didn't do the color, but that's something that they see and they're like, oh, cool, I trust her. And then I wasn't afraid to post myself on my social media because how many times have you gone into a business and before you go in, I stalk them on social media, I see what the vibe is, I see what I need to wear, see how I need to act. Everybody does it.
Yep.
So that was kind of like, I feel like being able to show my face on my social media made people recognize Brag and Beauty with Devin, you know?
Yeah. No,
So
that's super interesting. Like I loved what you talked about with like you just took you were really innovative. Like it wasn't like maybe you didn't have a lot of clients, you didn't have a lot of people coming in and for any service-based business, I'm sure people can relate of when you're getting started like you may not have a very large rapport of like people who you've helped and different things that you've done. So you got creative and you started to talk to people you already knew. You put posts out there. I think that's super, super awesome. So obviously you started posting. Were there any other platforms? Was this mostly on Instagram? Were you starting on TikTok? Like when did kind of each of those platforms start to take shape for you?
so Instagram was huge because I took a photography class in high school. So I knew how to use a camera from a very young age, which I think is so crucial if you're wanting to get into social media, learn how to take pictures, take a photography course. It's going to help you out so much. So I started taking really good pictures. And then I graduated hair school, went to a booth rental salon, became my own boss. So now it was like I needed to make money and I needed to utilize social media. So then shortly, 2019, I started following Brock Johnson. I saw you post about him. I love him so much. He helped me out so much. I think he did like a 30-day challenge where he talked about making a post every single day. And whatever this is, it will fit within your niche. And I was like, okay, buddy, you're lying. There's no way. So I took it for myself. I looked at, okay, what's missing in the hair industry that I can help and I can serve people with. No one was talking about hair health. No one was talking about what shampoo and conditioners you should use, how to get your hair healthy. It's the number one asked question, and us as hairstylists, we aren't answering that question for people because we just want to get clients in our chair. But in order to get clients, you have to build up trust. So I started posting stuff about, hey, here's how to take care of your hair. And that's when I started having my first million videos on Instagram go viral. And super, super simple. I was following everything he was doing. And then That's when I started to grow. I think in 1 month I went from 10,000 to 25,000
Wow.
in 1 month from using what he did. And so I kept a rhythm of posting a video about hair, hair tips, posting a picture that I did, and posting a transformation. So then I started to establish my 3 topics, which I think is so crucial to have topics that you post about. People want to come to your page and they just want to see certain things. Do not overcomplicate your page.
I love
Do you
that.
agree
Oh,
with, is that what you do? Yeah.
100%, 100%. It's, you mentioned Brock Johnson. He's also, a creator that I've followed for a long time, and I love what he has to say. And he always talks about, in this regard with niche, like he always talks about the fact that, like, if someone's giving away free ice cream on the side of the street and you go and get that ice cream and you're like, oh, that's so good, I'm going to go in and get some. And you go into the store right where they're giving the ice cream away and it's a sushi restaurant, you're going to be like, wait, I don't actually want sushi. I came here for ice cream, right? So it's the same thing with our social media. I like how you mentioned like 3 things. You can get as specific as you want, but you need to be specific enough that when somebody comes across a video of yours, because that's how you're going to get noticed, when they go to your account, they better be seeing something like that because they actually took the time to get to your account. And so, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah.
Well, and I always like to say, as every time I go and teach classes, I say, my favorite restaurant to go to is In-N-Out. Do you want to know why? It's because all they sell is burgers. I know I'm going to get a burger when I go into In-N-Out, and I know I'm going to get a dang good burger when I go into In-N-Out. So I'm like In-N-Out. Okay? I'm not going to go in there and think, oh, I'm going to get sushi from In-N-Out. No, you're going to get a hamburger. You're going to get hair content. You're going to get lifestyle content. You're going to get education. And people just know that. They're like, oh, cool. And so I think not overcomplicating it will help so many people out to just figure it out in that way. But yeah, so then 2020 hit and we were shut down. I had nothing to do. So I started making videos, and that's when I was kind of like, oh man, I'll just download TikTok. So I downloaded TikTok, and I didn't know what I wanted to do because I wanted to have some sort of identity on TikTok, and I wanted to be more of myself on TikTok because I felt like it was an escape from always seeing hair stuff. And so I started posting videos, and I had a video go viral of me getting my first dog. I was like sobbing. So that went viral, and I was like, okay, like there's potential here. So I started planting seeds of like, hey, I'm actually a hairstylist. I do hair. And then that's when I started to grow, and then everything kind of took off from there.
That is super interesting. So I have 2 questions in regards to quite a few things that you said. First, given that we're already on the TikTok note, do you feel like that had any negative impact on the fact that like people were coming to your account and seeing like, because you went viral with the dog, right? With you getting your first dog, a tender video that I'm sure people are like, oh, and then they probably are like, oh, she's fun. Maybe I'll follow her. They saw a couple other videos and they followed you. Do you feel like that has impacted your account in any specific way? And along with that, do you feel like TikTok is a place that you've been able to branch out a little bit more from hair? Touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I definitely think in the beginning, it was a little bit hard because I would post videos of like my dogs and my life and stuff like that. And those would get more views. But I was like, no, I'm still trying to build my clientele. I'm still trying to build up like my name. I'm still trying to get into education. But how am I supposed to get into education? Because TikTok's way different. You can't just say, hey, buy this from me. No one's going to buy it. Yeah. People are going to be like, well, why? You're pushing me. I don't want to buy it. You have to be so strategic with being like, hey, this is actually going to help you out. Invest into this. And so it definitely did. But I think with TikTok and social media, you're able to pick whatever audience you want based on the information that you put out there. Wow. So if you want to attract stylists, what do you think you're going to post? Education videos. If you want to attract clients, your audience is going to switch to more, like your content's going to switch more to transformations. So you're going to get clients from that. If you want to get a ton of negativity, then you're going to put out negativity. So it's like whatever you put out is a mirror image. You put out education content, you have stylists wanting to learn from you. So I think it would kind of changed it, but it was kind of like, I can kind of make this whatever I want. Like if I want to change it in 2 seconds, I can change it in 2 seconds if I want to. Yeah. Because social media is not about what people want you to post. It's about if you don't go back and rewatch your videos over and over again and think you're funny and think you learn from yourself, you're posting the wrong stuff. So it's all about being true to yourself, and that's going to come across more authentic, and that's going to grow your platform. because people are seeing that this is truly who you are and you're not trying to be someone else.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. And then the second question that I had going back to
Yeah.
some, you shared kind of like you grew doing your 30-day reel challenge, 30 videos, posting consistently for the first time on a specific topic type of thing. That's when you went from 10K to 25K. And I'm sure there are listeners out there who are going, wait, but like I am not starting at 10,000, I only have 100 or 200. So what did the first 10K look like for you on Instagram specifically?
First 10K was hard because you kept trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work. So that's when I just kind of like honed into literally what Brock was doing. I think I was at 5,000, and then just by listening to what he was doing, it was like it was quick,
Cool.
and it was quick and it was fast. And I think when you hit 10K, it's easier to make your next 10K,
Yeah.
and then it's easier to make another 10K. When you when you hit 100,000, it's easier to get to the next 100,000. So I think getting up to that, just not getting discouraged, and just keep trying, really really hone in on the consistency. I think that's the biggest thing, is being consistent and carving out time in your day that's dedicated just for making a post. So every day I set aside 30 minutes to an hour to either edit videos, look for stuff that inspires me, um, yeah, come up with content, build my content calendar. And then after that, it's just kind of in my everyday schedule. So if I don't make a post, then it feels weird that I'm not doing my job that day.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, if you want to grow your business, it's part of your job.
To put into context a little bit for listeners who are listening to her say 30 minutes to an hour in her day, Devin is incredibly successful. She's building, dare I say, multi 7-figure, 8-figure brand, and those aren't numbers that are that far away or things that you've already reached. You're building a brand that's incredibly large. You're making a lot of money. You're doing amazing things. You're helping a lot of people, and you're very busy. You're doing classes. You're doing hair behind the chair still. You have all these different things that you're doing on a daily basis. And for you to say that 30 minutes to an hour, you're dedicating specifically to social media and showing that there's that much of a need, and that big of a part of your business needs to be focused on social media, I think speaks volumes to really what social media has done for you, what it can do for other people. And so I love that.
When there's no excuses, You can say, well, I don't have time. Well, okay, how much time do you spend on your phone a day not actively scrolling and actually working? Okay, well, let's check your Sunday account. You probably have 6 hours that you went and watched TikToks. It's like that 6 hours could be your whole entire week of working on your phone and making content for yourself. So it's like there's no excuses. You just have to hone in, start with 15 minutes, start with little things, build up those habits. And then once those habits and systems are set up in play, then you'll start to see the reward from your hard work. And then going back to your question about TikTok and how you feel like you can post more on TikTok, I feel like TikTok, I figured out my 3 topics, okay? It's transformations, education, and lifestyle. So I literally just post those things because lifestyle is fun for me. I don't care if you don't like to see what outfits I'm wearing that day. I like to post that stuff. Education, I love to post education to people don't even know how to brush their hair, okay? Sit on that for a second. People don't even know how to put shampoo and conditioner in their hair. So there is such a need for education from hairstylists, and also if you're a business and salon owner, or you are just a business owner in general, people don't even know the little things about your business that you think they might know.
Yeah.
So it's just like this little things going back to the basics. And so when I started making my consultation videos, it was kind of all 3, you know. It was lifestyle, education, and transformation. So that's what I think really excelled the TikTok and helped for everything to just take off. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's cool to see how everything is like planned out.
You've grown obviously a lot through TikTok, Instagram. What do you think for somebody who like maybe they've been growing on Instagram, they've been growing on TikTok, one or the other, why would it be beneficial for them to get onto multiple platforms? Do you think it's beneficial? What's kind of your take on that?
So I feel like Instagram is more quality. People want to see you pretty. People want to see you put together. People do not want to see the bags under your eyes. TikTok is unhinged. TikTok is, they want to see quantity. They want to see what you're eating for breakfast. They want to see what workouts you're doing. They want to see what a day in your life looks like. They want to be a fly on the wall on TikTok, so let them be a fly on the wall. Show them what the back end of your business looks like. People want to see the vulnerable side. People want to see the real side, because people don't want to just come to your business nowadays because it's pretty, or they don't want to follow you on Instagram because you're pretty. They want to follow you on Instagram because you have something that they can relate to, and you're giving value to their life. So I think of it as when I post on TikTok, I'm like FaceTiming my best friend. I'm like, hey, look at this cute outfit I found. Or the consultation videos, it's like you're in the appointment with me. Then it makes people want to be in the appointment even more. And it makes one hairstylist want to become better at their consultations and talking with their clients. And it also helps clients to want to seek out a hairstylist that is going to talk to them, is going to listen to them. So I think that's just the difference between Instagram and TikTok.
I love that. And then as far as like one of the questions that I really, really wanted to ask you, and you've given such amazing insight on all the platforms and all of your growth and all your strategy and everything that you've done on social media, but specifically like you are in an industry, you know, in hair where there are thousands and thousands of other accounts. And I love something you said earlier about, you know, there's black and white and you're trying to find that gray. You're trying to find something that's maybe not as saturated or something that can be unique to you. And I think that's still really good advice. But I feel that even now, more than, you know, as time goes on, it's just going to get harder and harder to stand out as, you know, kind of a player on the field and in your niche. So what could you do? Like, you know, healthy hair is something that helped propel you and get you to that next level. But obviously many people have copied you. Many people have come in and had their own takes on how to do that type of thing. And now there's, you know, hundreds and thousands of other people saying that. So what could you do even more now to kind of separate yourself from all of the other hairstylists who are talking about similar things or doing hair transformation, doing lifestyle? Like, what could you do to separate yourself from those people?
I think just really honing in, it all comes down to learning who you are, because people are going to come to you nowadays because of your personality. So if you're not willing to share who you are and maybe share some stuff that's a little bit hard for you to talk about, that gives people something to relate to, people aren't going to come to you. So I think that's the biggest thing, is be okay with sharing your personality, learning how to love yourself and posting yourself on social media. And you're going to attract the people that are meant to be in your life because of who you are deep down.
Yeah. So how do you do that then? I mean, how do you share who you are? Because a lot of, you know, what you're posting on your feed and like what you talked about, you want your account to be hair and hair tips and a little bit of lifestyle mixed in there. But how do you show who you really are through those posts and then potentially through other means in social media?
I would say definitely like start small. Like start posting on your story. If it's something that you're like a little bit nervous about, start posting on your story about like, hey, let's get ready. I'm going to share some of my favorite products. And starting with that, and your Instagram feed can still be really pretty. But if you just post on your story like a video that you're going to send to your best friend, that's what people want to see. You know, and so your social media is essentially a huge group text of your best friends. And if people don't want to be a part of that, like, sorry, see you later. But I think, starting small, getting to know who you are. And if that's something that's maybe a little bit challenging for you to post that, and maybe you're more of an introvert, then I would just say maybe what's something that you really hone in on is you get really good at taking pictures. You get really good and artistic about taking pictures, or even your videos. Your videos are really smooth and crisp and clean. It doesn't have to be just your face and, you know, who you are. It's a good thing that will help you, but there's other ways that you can hone in on your skills. But I think people want to see your face more than they want to see pictures of hair nowadays.
I love that. So aside from being yourself, showing up, like you just gave great suggestions of how you can start to show up and be yourself and set yourself apart from all those other people in your niche, are there any other like specific tips or tricks that you've kind of experienced or tried that you feel like help set yourself apart from other people in niches that may be saturated like this?
I would say, yes, I think what it does is it comes deep down, you know, because you're going to post a video and you're going to be like, I cannot believe I just posted that video. So I just always give the advice of post a video, walk away for an hour, come back, okay, and see the love that you get from that video. And you just can't be afraid to post. And yeah, I think coming up with a game plan, because everybody's game plan and everybody's content calendar and everybody's topics, everybody's, branding is completely different. Very rarely do you find someone that has the exact same branding as you do. So I say really hone in to discovering who you are behind the brand and behind the chair and honestly behind your business. Can't come up with a game plan and then start working
Yeah.
and get to work.
Yeah. So something that you mentioned before we actually started recording this episode was you talked about personal branding. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, that I think is essential in growing a brand, a business around yourself, kind of that one person business. So how big of an impact does let's boil it down to the very, very basics as far as like fonts and colors and the pretty aspect of it and staying consistent, not just like staying consistent, posting consistently, but being consistently who you are. How important are those things?
So important. Because, okay, imagine your comfiest outfit that you have. Describe your comfiest outfit. What do you feel the most confident in whenever you're wearing a specific outfit? For me, it's like dress pants, neutrals, stuff like that. So I always teach, discover your 3 words. And how to do that is start a Pinterest board, start saving everything that speaks to you. Interior, styles, fonts, logos, anything you can think of, save it. Then go back and try to figure out your 3 words. Your 3 words now are just who you are. So if you show up who you are and you start dressing, dress for success, I really think it's a huge thing. Dressing what your 3 words are, then you start posting what your 3 words are, and then it's way easier for you to show up on social media because you've really honed in that you are your brand. And then you're more confident on social media because that's just who you are. You're not trying to be someone else.
Yeah. Give an example of what those 3 words might look like for you and then maybe for somebody else.
So for me, mine are like comfy,
okay,
neutral, and effortless. So I want my energy to be very comfortable. When someone sits in my chair, I want it to seem like you're my best friend from the very beginning. I hate small talk. We're skipping that. We're best friends from the very beginning. Neutral. I just like to keep life very neutral. My outfit's very neutral. Anything I talk about, I like to stay pretty neutral. My preference. And then effortless. I like my energy to come across as very effortless, very natural, very organic. I want to go with the flow of things. I don't want things to seem so structured. Okay? Your wife, we helped to rebrand your wife. Savannah's one of my good friends. Absolutely love her to death. And her words are neutral, classy, and I think she did effortless. And that's Savannah through and through. So it's just kind of figuring out who you are, and deep down, there's not one off the top of my head that I can think of, but there's been a few people that I've helped to rebrand, and it's been so cool to just see how those 3 words have been able to kickstart their colors, their content calendar, their social media planning, how they show up on social media. It's so little that explodes, and it helps with everything.
Oh, absolutely. So as we've talked a lot about a lot of different strategies. You've given incredible wisdom into how you can grow on social media, how you can be authentic. And I mean, if you have not paid close attention, you need to go back and literally listen to everything that she has said, because Devin, you have been incredible. But I have the question in my head of, I try to put myself in the listener's shoes, right? Of people who are listening to this episode and who are maybe in a place where they're really, really just wanting to grow. They're wanting to get to the point that you're at. And they can't help but think, when they listen to Devin, they think, oh my goodness, she's the complete package when it comes to social media. She's all put together. She's funny, she's quirky, she's unapologetically herself, she's confident, she's extroverted, but she's able to connect with people. I mean, they're probably just sitting here and thinking, well, no brainer, like, she's grown. But the truth behind it is, at one point, Devin, you were at 0 followers. At multiple points, you've probably had some hiccups and had some struggles. Talk a little bit about like how it isn't all just perfect, and how you've built to the point that you're at. Like, what are some things that were maybe a little bit difficult along the way?
I definitely think everything's trial and error on social media. You post a video, doesn't do well, and now okay, maybe when we tweak this. But I think the hardest thing is just comparison and imposter syndrome. I think you oftentimes see people, especially when I was, at 0 followers, I saw people high up in this industry and I was like, man, I wish I was them. And how I can't post a video because it's not as good as them. Well, I think instead of, trying to compare yourself, why don't you just ask yourself, what would I do if I was this person? And I was listening to a book recently, Atomic Habits, and he talks a lot about you have to put yourself into the mindset of who you want to become. So if you want to become a healthy person, you ask yourself, what would a healthy person do? Well, a healthy person is going to eat a salad over a cheeseburger. Okay. So you can even ask too, like, what would Devin do? Okay. Well, Devin would be herself. Devin would love one another. Devin would, you know, share her wisdom with others, or someone that you look up to. What would Brock Johnson do? Okay. You have to put yourself into their shoes. And instead of being jealous or down on yourself that you're not them, you just need to ask either them or ask yourself, what would they do? And I think that's like the best way to grow, is looking at them as, a way to kickstart your career and not destroy your career.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. And
that's how I feel.
I love that. And I think that like something that's really important to be said, obviously we're here to learn from Devin. And so I don't want to, I'm not trying to give a ton of tips, but when you said that, it made me think that even if like you aren't super extroverted or you aren't super, bubbly, and maybe you think that you're just not the right personality for social media, you're probably that much better suited and equipped for social media.
100%. 100%. Well, think about how many people are just like you. Okay. Think about how many people are just as introverted and successful on social media. So it doesn't mean that you need to have someone that's extroverted be your role model or your mentor. You need to have someone that has the same personality as you to help guide you through building your business on social media.
Yeah.
So there's someone out there for everyone. That's the cool thing about social media.
Exactly. And I feel like there are fewer people who may be a little bit more introverted and have that personality who are posting on social media, but there are tons of people who are scrolling through social media who are introverted, who don't want to put themselves out there, and they'll relate to you, who may not want to be that super extroverted personality. And that's what's going to help grow your personal brand, and who you attract are people like you. And every type of human is out there, and every type of human is scrolling through social media. And so if you don't think that there's a following out there, that there are people out there that would, want to follow you, then you're wrong. Like there are people out
100%.
there.
100%. And I think too, like, think about if someone struggles with being more of an introvert, you have to think about you're building your own little group. You don't have to build this group for millions and billions of people. I think sometimes we get so skewed with numbers and then we think, oh, I only have, 5,000 followers. Okay, or I only got, 120,000 views on a video. Say that. That's the amount of people that live in my hometown. So it's like, at a Taylor Swift concert, there's 12,000 people that are at a concert. Okay, so when you get 12,000 views on a video, that is, everybody in a Taylor Swift concert just saw your video. So I think be gracious on yourself and be nice to yourself, because what you're doing is so important. And even if 20 people like it, that's 20 people. In a grocery store, at a time there's probably 150 people. So if 150 people like it, the whole grocery store just liked your video. So think of it as that. And I think now more than ever, there's a place on social media for everyone. And there's a place for you to have a voice when you don't feel like you have a voice. But you have to create your own voice. You can't let someone else create a voice for you. You have to be authentic and you have to be you.
I love that. And I think that's kind of been the theme through everything, is like that. When you boil everything down, of all of the tips and everything that you've talked about, like that's what's allowed you to have such great success, is because like you've figured out who you are and you've shown that, and you've been yourself. So social media obviously has had a great impact on you. You've been able to build an incredible business through it, and on your own as well. But talk a little bit about like, what has social media done for your business, and why should you be on social media if you're not?
I can't even begin to express the gratitude I have for social media, because it truly has kickstarted my career, not only with brand deals, but also with connecting with stylists and giving them a place that, that they can brag about, giving them something that they can give to their clients that they can brag about. And I think the coolest thing about building a platform is being able to, have clients, have stylists seek out, hey, I want to learn the bragging method. I want to learn the bragging balayage. And then clients are like, hey, I want to go to someone that has the bragging balayage technique. And so it's just cool to be able to create this community for not just stylists, but also clients as well. And social media, it is a lot of work, but if you put in the work, I promise that the rewards will start to come through brand deals, through companies wanting to work with you, send you out places. And I think it's another form of income if you take the time to make it a form of income.
Yeah. So you talked about other forms of income. I don't want to get too deep into all the aspects and facets of your business, because this is about social media growth. But part of social media nowadays is brand deals and that. And I know that there are a lot of people who want to work with good brands. They want to get paid to work with brands. So what's your experience been? I know you've worked with a number of brands and still continue to work with a number of brands. Has it been, have you just grown to the point that like they're constantly reaching out to you? Have you reached out? What's been your experience, and what might your advice be to somebody who's looking to get some more brand deals?
I love it. So to get started, I would definitely just say, like, start tagging them in all your videos. Start tagging them saying, hey, I love this product. Give them free content. Have them post, say they post your video once. Then you message them and say, hey, I seriously have been loving this product. Do you mind if you send me this product, I'll make you a video for it. You have to start out small. You can't just be like, yeah, I charge, $1,200 for this. No, girl. No. So I think reaching out to them and then building that connection with them, building that relationship, and then it starts to they start to see, oh, this girl is actually we're actually seeing a lot of traffic coming from her page. Huh. Okay, let's reach out to her. Let's reach out to, get a brand deal. I think don't expect to get paid on your first deal. It will take multiple deals for you to actually start to get paid from your first brand.
Yeah.
And so then starting out with that, anytime someone wants to send you PR, just say yes. Yes, try it out, post about it, and then slowly and surely you'll start to have people reaching out to you, wanting to pay you for stuff, but also knowing your worth, because if I took 2 full years of not getting paid. So my cost for a video is going to reflect the 2 years that I've spent to build up to this point. And so also know your worth, but also know that you need to put in the work. And yeah, with brand deals, I think it's very cool to be able to see these brands that I've already used and loved wanting to reach out and say, hey, let's make a video together. And it's like, seriously, I already love you guys. You guys are already I use you every day. So this is the coolest thing. And that's just all about, you just have to post.
Yeah. Given what you know about social media today and everything, we've talked about a lot of different things, but given where social media is at today, if somebody is looking to get started, they have 0 followers, they're maybe just starting, in this instance, they're just starting hair school, or they're thinking about starting hair school, they're just finishing hair school and they're starting their account. What advice would you give to somebody in that position right now? Because, and before you answer that, I want to say, for you, you rode an amazing wave, a great opportunity of the 30-day reel challenge, which, years ago, that was if you did that, you were pretty much ready to succeed.
Oh yeah.
Today, that's not necessarily as easy. You post 30 reels, you're just like all the other accounts out there. So what is it today that might help you kind of grow and start based on what you're seeing with your posts today?
I think it all comes down to being strategic, because everybody's on social media. So you can have a goal in mind. That's great. But you can't succeed your goal unless you have systems set up in play. So I think the biggest thing is hone in on consistency, hone in on exactly who you are, your brand, what you want to post, your consistency, setting aside the time, and literally doing that for a month to 3 months, and then seeing what happens. Don't go outside of it. Stick within what you've made for yourself. And I think that's when people are going to start to see huge success, because they got the blinders on. Keep your blinders on. Look at other people, get inspiration from other people, but focus on your system that you have set up for the goals that you want later on in life for your social media career.
Would you say that it's pretty safe to say that you have to be intentional about what you're doing in order to grow nowadays on social media?
100%. It's like, it's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes you're like, I want to post that I'm going to Disneyland. You totally can. But also, like, be aware that you still need to stick within the content calendar or the topics that you've set up for your success, set up for yourself. So try to incorporate, a little bit more of the topics. Don't just post, I'm going to Disneyland. Oh, how I'm going to style my hair for Disneyland, or how I'm going to wear whatever's from your business at Disneyland. Like, there's so many different ways to plug your business within your content and not just making it seem like unintentional. So add just a little bit of intention to all your content, and it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something little.
And I think that's a great piece of advice, to have a plan, have a game plan, have some intention, and just tackle it. And I love the piece of advice that you said, keep your blinders on, because I think with all of us who are getting started, it's really easy to start to look at all the accounts that are a lot bigger than us and go, wow, I don't think I'm ever going to get there, or I don't know if I'm ever going to, be able to do that. But speaking from personal experience, and I'm sure you can say as well, that sometimes it's the difference of that one video that you posted that day that changes your entire business and your entire life, so you just have to keep showing up and be consistent. I love that. Any last pieces of advice or words of wisdom that you'd like to share that you've been thinking of and maybe I haven't asked you?
I think if you are wanting to get into the industry, and whether that's hair or on social media too, I think you just have to do it. You have to hone in and you have to hustle. Like, don't be afraid to hustle. Don't be afraid to put in the hard work. And also, I kind of want to talk about with Hairstylist too, with wanting to grow your clientele, wanting to grow your social media. I have an incredible platform called Bragging University, and that's a place for all hairstylists to go and watch courses on hair, but also learn about consultations and how to grow your social media. And so that's also an incredible way to just kind of get into my brain a little bit more, is through the university. And so that's a great way. And I think just investing in yourself is the best investment you could ever make, because without investing and without growing, without investing and without learning, you don't have growth. So always stay uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you learn and you grow. When you're uncomfortable, you don't grow. So,
well, if you're listening here, you've gotten a glimpse into Devin's brain. And if you want to see a structured version of everything that she shared and more, along with hair stylist tips, building your clientele, consultations, that's Bragging University, right, is what it's called.
Yep.
So I'll link that in the show notes. If you're a hairstylist that's been listening, you can absolutely, I would encourage you to go check that out, to get even more knowledge than you've gotten in this podcast, a lot more, at her platform that she's built with Bragging University.
Yeah, and I just have to say thank you so much for doing this. I think this is so cool to get, creators from all different fields together and to share their expertise. And I think even though we're in different niches, I think we have a lot to relate to, and we have a lot to learn from each other. So thank you for doing this. I think this is incredible.
Absolutely. I am super, super excited for all the interviews to come and all the people that we'll have on the show. And I hope that, maybe you're not a hairstylist and maybe you listen to this whole show, but I guarantee you that there were pieces of wisdom that you can take and apply directly to your niche, to your industry, to whatever it is that you're doing, and put it into your social media, and you will see growth. I have no
100%.
doubt. So
100%.
Well, Devin, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And yeah, it's been great.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yeah.